My brothers and sisters, let me begin today by first of all introducing the members of the head table. On my extreme right is the president of the South Oropouche Riverine Flood Action Group and president of almost every group in this region, Mr. Edward Moodie. The Member of Parliament for the constituency of Chaguanas West, Mr. Dinesh Rambally. The Member of Parliament for the constituency of Naparima, Mr. Rodney Charles. The Member of Parliament for the constituency of Tabakit, Ms. Anita Haynes Allen. And the Member of Parliament for the constituency furthest from here, the constituency of Mayaro, MP Rushton Paray. Members of the media, local government practitioners, soldiers, activists, friends of the United National Congress, let me take this opportunity to welcome you this evening to this meeting here in the constituency of Oropouche and more so in the community of Plock Road, St. Francis Pinal. Give yourselves a round of applause. My task here this evening is quite a very simple one, and it is merely to introduce you to the master of ceremony of this evening's program. He is indeed a strong fighter on behalf of the people of this country, a dedicated soldier, a very outspoken individual. It is the gentleman who stands and tells us when a spade is a spade, he says it. He is no stranger to the airwaves, but more so an older man at the Superior Regional Corporation, and he stands on our behalf and on your behalf to join a team for a stronger UNC to ensure that we have a stronger TNT. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you older man, Mr. Victor Roberts.
First of all, let me start by saying a pleasant good afternoon to each and everyone. And I would like to call on my friend, my brother, who will represent the Christian faith in directing us in a word of prayer. None other than my friend, Brother Manchun.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Good afternoon, everybody, and let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. Father, we thank you this evening for your love and your mercy, your grace over our lives. We thank you that we can be here this evening in this community to talk about building a better Trinidad and Tobago, a stronger UNC. We pray that you would bless everyone who would participate this evening, who would share. Bless all the members are here and help the message of change and of integrity and truth, leadership, Lord, to flow through this community for a new day and a new change in our party and in our country. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Please remain standing. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, there is another gentleman in the crowd who wear a number of hats, but today he wears two hats. The Member of Parliament for Chaguanas West, and also my friend, my brother, who will lead us, none other than Dinesh Rambally, who also is one of the recognized pundits throughout this country. I welcome Dinesh Rambally.
Thank you, Victor. Good evening, all. Members of the head table, all of us, we focus our minds, we bow our heads, we pray to that divinity who must be worshipped first. We pray to this said divinity who must be propitiated before all undertakings, to that divinity who is the remover of all obstacles. In Hinduism, that is Lord Ganesh, and to that divinity we offer our prostrations again and again. May all of the obstacles that stand in our way as members of this community, as members of a wider community, all of us citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we pray, of course, that all obstacles, all difficulties be removed, that the ideal goal, the goal that is a collective goal of our country, that we all stand in unity and we all stand for betterment, for country, for people, and for the next generation. Sitaram.
Thank you. You may have your seats. This afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the program is simple. We already take care of the prayers. I want to say, first of all, that members of the head table, they are the guests here this afternoon. They are here on an invitation by the activists within this constituency of Oropouche West. We know for a fact that you, the people of this community, have been through a lot. I know for a fact that the first speaker who will be coming to speak to us this afternoon, stand tall, stand up for you, the people within this constituency. And therefore, without any further ado, I have no hesitation in introducing to you none other than my brother, my friend, Edward Moodie. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Dose, that is his name in the village of Erin. Dose, we grew up together. But I was this size when he was that size. And he still looks young. And I want to say something. It is nice when you could relate to the brothers and sisters who you know have always been your family. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you all, before I continue, to give this team here today a hearty, hearty round of applause. I would like to say welcome. Welcome to my brother, Dinesh. Welcome to the man who is taking the lead in all of this with strong, strong support, Mr. Paray. Welcome to Anita, a woman who is showing her substance with grace, with glory, and with strength. And to my brother, Mr. Charles, MP, we have been liaising on many issues in Barrackpore over the years. And it has always been with one goal, and that is for the betterment of humanity. Mr. Charles, the last issue we dealt with was the house that was coming down the hill. It was a WASA issue. It was a neglect issue. But I want to get straight into the issue because time is limiting for me. Most of you here have heard what I've been saying for the last 7 years. Flooding, just like in Mafiking and just like in Caroni, we could bring it to an end. Any politician or professional who says to you, you have to live with that, they are shortchanging you. That is what they are doing. I have been doing studies for the last almost 7 years on my own because that is my professional field. I realize that the professionals at UE, they just need to be drawn out because in private consultation, they agree with what I am saying and they justify logistically what I have been saying over time. Many of you would have driven down that road in Woodland just now. All that excavation you saw there, with the river along the road. It is the South Oropouche Riverine Flood Action Group, the Woodland Flood Group, and the Flood Alleviation Council that brought in those equipment to do that work. We are not going to sit and wait on Rohan to come back from India. We are not going to sit and wait on anybody who has the stamp and the authorization to send in equipment here to determine our fate. We are stepping out of our shoes, and it is time that we do that. I have been liaising with all the MPs in South, every single one. And I will tell you this, I have been begging them, let us stand as a team. We march in Port of Spain for the COVID fiasco. The MPs were never there with me. I got locked up. We marched from Aranjuez to Port of Spain. I applied and I got permission. They were never there with me. Despite the fact that I've been meeting with Dr. Munilal, Mr. Tanku, and others almost every month. I am not afraid to lead if they are. I am not. They are my brothers. And I have asked for change. What change do I want? What change do I see? The change that I see is a change where the United National Congress has leadership that encourages the MPs to stand up as a team despite the fact that they are not in government. If I could take 6 and 7 people from my community and in 3 days' time do 1.5 miles of river with no money, no financing, no backup from anybody, imagine what an MP in the UNC could do. The excuse is we are not in governance. If you are collecting a salary of $25,000 plus the perks, let me tell you something, you are in government. And they told me, Moodie, you sent a wrong audio in the community. Don't be too aggressive. You see Mr. Adset sitting down in the back there? His wife was kidnapped and is missing, presumed dead, for the last few months. He's right there. He's a British national. And he said, Mr. Moodie, I am coming here today with you because you are the only person who stood up with me. I called the MPs. Not one of them reached by that man's house. We have this situation all over South Trinidad. We have rape, we have murder, we have people disappearing. And the politicians here are not getting up and standing with the people. Why did I invite this team? Because they have said enough is enough and we are going to make change. These people that you are seeing here, they have decided to put their political career on the chopping block because you know it's monsters they are dealing with. They have decided to go that road to try and bring about change. I have never been involved in politics in my life. I have been an activist. I am the man on the highway who stood up for all the people and made sure they were compensated, made sure they were relocated. And I have been doing this all my life to stand with people. I was even fired as consultant on the highway for standing up for poor people. Today, I want to tell you guys something. This is the chance you all have of freedom. Free yourself from the enslavement that is covering your soul. Up to 5 minutes ago, I got a call from one of the thugs who entered the temple. When you were there with the Dharmacharya and the whole group, hierarchy of Hindu priests, when they came and they insulted you, they just called me. They just called me. I was called by an MP in South for the last 2 weeks. I need to meet with you, Moodie. Anita, meet with your brother. Meet with me for what? I am not for sale. You see the people who live on this stretch? You see the people who live here? Those people depend on me. And people say, Moodie, but you don't live here anymore. Why are you here every single day? You know why? Because my soul resonates with their suffering. And we cannot allow this to continue, people. We cannot allow the brotherhood that we were born with, just like with my brother here. We cannot break those ties because of selfishness. I am saying to you today, I am standing up. I am standing with this team. I am standing with those who are not here, but they are on the team because they are scared. And I am encouraging everybody to come home. Come home to what? Come home to the fact that this is the last straw. This is the last straw. Everybody is packing up and leaving Trinidad. Right now, there's somebody who is apparently abducted in Debe, and nobody knows about that. Right now, the parents scared to come to the public and the police and say they take my son. All you hear what I telling all you? My brother left New York this morning, last night, to come to this meeting. You know why? He said, brother, I come in to stand with you and give you support. I come in. My brother is here today, Christian. So guys, I have limited time. All of you know my story, and I know all of your stories. And I want to say to you today that the internal election that is going to be held within the United National Congress is not about eating a food. It is not about they're telling you, if you don't come out to vote for them, you can't get a work in the corporation. That's what they're doing, the poor people. And I hate that. That is slavery to its highest level. We have to stand up. We have to gain the strength from within. Find your God. Whatever, whoever, wherever you pray, find it. And build back that strength as human beings, as men and women, and let us take back our country of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward Moodie, a fighter, one who I fought with. You see that grey van in the back down there, the high one? When Moodie called and said, Roberts, the people of Woodland cannot come out, he will tell you what has happened. Water up to the bonnet. But this is what we do. We risk our life to save yours. And we are in a position, ladies and gentlemen, where you have to stand up for what is right. You have to stand up and make a decision on the 15th of June. And the decision that you are called to make is to save your family, save the country, save your children, and save yourself. With that in mind, our next speaker that I will bring to you is the MP for Chaguanas West. Dinesh Rambally is one of the individuals who is also outspoken. I don't know, like, this is just a group of people who don't afraid to talk and who don't afraid to stand up. And we all do that, don't matter what it causes. So without any further ado, I want to invite my friend, my brother, the MP for Chaguanas West, Dinesh Rambally, to the podium.
Thank you, Victor Roberts. Mr. Edward Moodie, MP Rushton Paray, MP Anita Haynes, MP Rodney Charles, Mrs. Paray, ladies and gentlemen, it is of course, members of the media, it is of course a pleasure, and I want to thank Mr. Edward Moodie for inviting us here this afternoon. Moodie has been calling for some time, and he says, look, I want, these MPs to come into the area because he feels that the people are crying out for something more. They are crying out for change. They want to see some faces that they know they can put their faith in. And this is what Edward Moodie stands for in this community. And I am glad to accept your invitation, Mr. Moodie. I want to tell Edward Moodie today, and to let you all know, that many times, you see, you talk about flooding here in Woodland and in the South region. When we have heavy rainfalls and he is keeping a close, keen eye on what is happening with the river levels, the rainfall levels, he calls me. He tells me which part of the Caroni River I should be keeping some kind of eye on. Right? He calls me and he says, you know, you have a problem and higher up in Caroni, X, Y, and Z. He tells me the specific area. Whatever studies he has done in his personal capacity, he has shared all of them with me. He has also called me when it is we have sometimes environmental hazards. He has called me, wake me up in the middle of the night. He say, you need to go down there now. And what do you think I do? I go. I go because I have trusted Edward Moodie. So in the middle of the night, I go and I am calling people to tell them, you need to come and investigate this oil spill here. Because if that happens, the whole of the Caroni swamp, you know what will take place? So this is the gentleman. So I want to tell you, thank you very much for inviting us today, Edward Moodie. And I don't need to convince you of his genuineness because all of you are from this area, so you know. I don't need to convince you of his passion because you have heard his fierce passion in his voice today and you all see his deliverables. I want to just talk to you all about the political opponent. So I want to start with that. I have always maintained, and all of these MPs here have always maintained, that we have one political opponent. Our main political opponent is the PNM's incompetence. Right now, this country is on a steep slope. It is heading downwards. We are only getting negative reports regionally and internationally. And if I may just move away from reports and statistics and talk about what is happening right here at home. Look, I'm hearing about an abduction in Davie. I'm hearing about someone's wife that was missing, presumed murdered. These are too often we are hearing these incidents taking place in our communities. All of us, I can guarantee that every single one of us, God forbid if it has not, and I hope it does not happen at home, but it happens to somebody who we know. Whether it be as MPs, a constituent, if it is not a family member, it is a cousin, it is a relative, it is somebody, a friend of someone we know. Someone who we would have probably spent a Christmas with. Someone whom we would have been invited to their birthday party or we invited them. And this is what is taking place right now. Right now, you have a prime minister that is all over the world. I thought when we heard about the press conference today at 2:30 Rushton, Paray, and I know they will talk about this more. I thought when Prime Minister Rowley came back and they said he's going to have a press conference at Piaco Airport, that we would have heard something mind-shattering that would have told us that we are going to see something implemented to deal with the crime scourge. We didn't hear anything about that. We heard about Ghana and trade and whatever, which I'm not saying it is not important, you know. But what I'm saying is that the incompetence is leading to lack of prioritizing by the government. Yesterday I saw a video, and I have to go there to drop children to school, so I pass there every morning. Yesterday was no different. And when I was passing on the Eastern Main Road, I want to know why you have all this. I'm looking on either side of the road, of the Eastern Main Road in El Dorado area, there to see whether there is an accident, somebody bounced down, something. And then when I was told by someone, because they made out my vehicle, they stopped me, they flagged me down, they said, you know, source doubles, right? They hold this girl by her hair, and they drag her. Somebody tried to put up a fight, they shot him. And these are the stories we are getting. So whether you are a big businessman, whether you are a small businessman, this crime is not discerning. It is not, you are not immune in any way. And the crime, these criminals, they are not discerning who is who. So if you are now starting up a business and you think you can use whatever little profits you make to invest and to keep growing your business, it is because you have to invest in burglar proof. You have to invest in probably applying for a firearm, and that is the next problem by itself. And you have to invest in things that you are not realizing any peace of mind. You are not realizing any prosperity. But what you are getting is you are living in fear. and you are being the recipient of bandits tracking you down, trailing you, people pelting things at your car to make you stop in the night. And as I said, it is so extreme. People are being shot, they are being kidnapped, they are being abducted. I want to ask you, how much more blood, how much more innocent blood has to fall on our soil before we will get up and do what is necessary to take control of our own country? How much more innocent people must be killed before we will unite and say enough is enough, and therefore we need to take governance of this country? When are we going to stop this infighting and calling each other Nimakaram and calling that one traitor and calling this one Maha Nimakaram? That may have been fashionable at one point in time, but that have no place in modern day politics, especially when we're trying to get the younger people involved in our communities. Which young person you spend all your money to get them to go to school? Which young child, be it girl or boy, which young professional you coming out and you could tell them come into something like this? Because all they're going to get is use on the makaram. Why? Because they have an opinion that they want betterment for themselves and their families. Is that what we're standing for? Is that the politics we're practicing today? So I want to ask all of you, don't let anybody bamboozle you, They say Rambally have money. They will say Rushton, Paray is a man, he wealthy, he don't need this. Rambally don't need this. Anita, Haynes don't need this. They will say Rodney Charles don't need this. He on his way out. He don't really want this again. That is the furthest thing from the truth. I have a mortgage to pay for my house. You think the bank going and say your name is MP Rambally, so if you miss your payment, don't worry. They're coming to take the house from me. If I don't pay my vehicle loans, what you think they're going to do? You think they're going to say use Rambally so we don't worry about your money? You think MP Rushton Paray reached the success in his business because he didn't make all the payments and he didn't sacrifice? And anywhere this man goes, his wife is with him. So what do you all want? I have asked this question before. What do you demand of your leaders? Do you demand that you have success behind their name and they know what it is to sacrifice? They know how to make ends meet? They know what is the pinch at the end of the month, but they still know how to turn the dollar and make it into something more? Anita Haynes, young Anita Haynes, she is one, and I'm glad somebody said it before me, that she carries herself with a level of grace. As a young lady, if I had to tell my daughter to look up to somebody, who you think I go in and say? You want me to start calling names who not to say? But I will say Anita Haynes. Right? Rodney Charles. I want to tell all you something, This man, I have seen an unprecedented attack. What do you want for the elders in the UNC and our party and in the politics? What do you demand of your leaders that you want to see the respect that could be accorded to our elders in the party? These men, I know, I may have joined electoral politics in 2020, but that doesn't mean that's the first time I entered politics. I have looked upon what I have been seeing. I have looked at the programs. I have looked at successive campaigns. And this man I have seen, he has given his blood to the United National Congress. And let me tell you all something, whether we talk or we didn't talk before, but I want to tell you today, I had no conversations with them on anything to do with politics. Because I have a standing order. Look, Alicia is here and she will tell you that. If Rushton Paray says, Rambally, I want to hang out with you, let us get together. The condition is we're not talking politics. Right? And that is how we get together. So I didn't know. But I want all of you to understand the way I felt when I saw them stand up and say that they want elections in the party because they want to give you a chance to say whether you want change or you don't want change. And I want to give them all the commendations for doing that. And when I saw that, I felt proud. I said, but listen, when I thought all I was seeing was dark clouds, I started to see the silver lining. I started to see the silver lining when I saw Rushton Paray stand up on a platform and what people will deem political suicide, He said it. He said, this is not our political suicide for me. This is about change for the country. This is about making the UNC stronger so we could win that governance, so we could change things in the country. Then I saw young Anita Haynes support, and I saw the others, Rodney Charles and Rai Ragbir. I was nowhere on the scene. And when I saw that, I was inspired by this group of MPs that eventually when I spoke out, I said, but I have to support this. So I want to ask all of you today, if you all want to see successive losses as a party, do you all want to win government? Yes. And if you want to win that government, what are you prepared to do? I am just telling you, if you want that change, demand that change, and an opportunity has presented itself, I am supporting MP Rushton Paray. I am supporting MP Anita Haynes. I am supporting Rodney Charles. I am supporting Rai Ragbir. You know, Rai Ragbir might be a man of few words, but plenty action, eh? Whenever Rai Ragbir, you see him doing something, is because he home by somebody who is somehow ailing, debilitated, bedridden, but he's there giving that person drips. He's there making sure and testing the pressure and the sugar, providing a wheelchair. And this is at his own expense, free of charge to the person and at his own expense. Yes, he might be a doctor and you say, well, that is up his alley, but he is using what he knows and he's going out to the people. So I want to commend Rai Ragbir as well. And I want to tell you all today, I saw something from some election monitoring or steering committee or something. This is not, I'm not speaking for them now, eh? I am speaking for myself. And when I saw that and I saw something about what? No mudslinging or something, and I said, but these people have to be jokers. Who does embark and engage upon the most amount of mudslinging? Who dominating social media and the kind of garbage that they peddling, divisiveness, as though you shouldn't be a Hindu and you shouldn't be a Muslim and I shouldn't be a Hindu and he shouldn't be a Christian, and that as though somehow or the other you use that conveniently to take a photo and otherwise it is to cause divisiveness in the community. I am telling you all the truth, you know, you all have to wake up. And when I am sure this crowd here has woken up already, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, tell them, listen, just like what Edward Moodie said, what is it are you all looking at? Is it that you are looking because, you know, it is somebody promising you a job in the corporation? It is somebody promising you something? No. We need a substantial change. It don't make sense you have a job in a corporation, but as soon as you leave your workplace, somebody gun you down, you know. It doesn't make sense that you are doing things, but you're living in fear. The kind of change we are talking about is positive change, and we are talking about change for country. We are talking about building this nation so that you and your parents and your children as well, and your children, it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the creed, the class, the race, the religion. It does not matter. All of us could be united and we could live as one in safety and harmony. This is what we're talking about. So I want to end by saying that I know Edward Moodie has also made reference to certain things about the flood grants. There are a lot of issues that Edward Moodie has spoken to me about. I have given my commitment. My brother Kyle Taklal Singh is here as well, a prominent young attorney at law. He as well, he does not hesitate to do things for community. He doesn't hesitate, doesn't matter which part of the country. Free of charge. Kyle, free of charge. That's a joke, but he's always willing to help. These are the young people who are coming forward with Rushton and Paray, you know. You all see the difference? Which one of them you could point to? And you could say, hey, that man make whatever in whichever state entity. Not them. I could tell you that. Not me. I could tell you that. So understand the difference. I am not here to bad talk anybody. I'm here to tell you about the positive that this team will bring for the country. You need to give us a chance. You need to give this team a chance. So as I conclude, my parting sentiments is that I want to let you all know that we will stand with you. We are in this together with you, but we need the cooperation. We need your support moving forward. Invest some of your goodwill in us as we move forward. I want to tell you, those of you who are family-oriented people, this is the man, Rushton Paray. I want to tell you that if you want betterment for your young children, and if they're not so young, young professionals, I want to tell you the role model here is Anita Haynes. And I want to tell all of you that if it is you feel that we lack any kind of experience and we need some guidance, Rodney Charles is right here. So, as I close, thank you very much. Edward Moodie, thank you for this invitation. Victor Roberts, thank you very much. And one thing you can't beat is Edward Moodie and Victor Roberts. You all know what they give and you all know what they stand for. And I know that we have their support as well. So thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you very much, MP Dinesh Rambally. I want to make a call this afternoon, a clarion call to all the councillors, aldermen, chairmen, and even the mayors who is hiding behind the wall. Let me tell you something. Now is the time to come out and let us get this party back on track. As the MP said, a stronger UNC will always make a stronger TNT. I am an alderman within the Super Borough Corporation. And when I stood up with Rushton Paray at that press conference, when he made the call for internal election, let me tell you something. I think the only attorney that did not call to remove me was Kyle Taklalsing. Everybody else were engaging. How can we remove Victor Roberts? And remove me for what? Standing up for what is right. I and Edward Moodie, it don't have a protest that you could talk about that I and Moodie and others weren't there. But to the end of the day, the minute we stood up for democracy, the next item was to remove us. And when I get that phone call, my response to that phone call were, if it pleases thou, then remove me from the Super Borough Corporation. But that would not stop my mouth from speaking out and standing up for what is right. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I want to call a stalwart, a man who to the end of the day, I cannot say what had not been said about this individual. This man stood up through the thick and thin, stood up with this party, fought many battles. A matter of fact, at one time, the Prime Minister said to him, better you go Guyana and live. Go to another country, because every time you come here, you only comparing. Rodney Charles is no stranger to us, ladies and gentlemen. Rodney Charles work in the trenches. Rodney Charles stand up and stood out when people were running from the UNC and didn't want to be associated with the UNC. As an African, Rodney Charles made himself available with all the criticism and stand up and fight on behalf of this party. Today, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to the podium none other than the Honorable Rodney Charles.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. To the head table, all protocols observed. To the gentleman who invited us, Mr. Moodie, I have interacted with him, and I can tell you that today there's a lady who worked her life as a teacher, 35 years in Inverness Presbyterian School. She has a house with a landslip. And Mr. Moodie took up the battle. And we fought, and last week, the government took shame, and they started remedial work on the landslip that would help the house keep together. That is the kind of leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, they have said in Port of Spain that nothing good could come from us in South. They look down on us, but I see today the start of a revolution in Woodland. And when the history of the change is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, Woodland shall stand tall. And under the leadership of this team, including my colleague, Mr. Rushton Paray, under that, working together with you, we will show them that we will make Woodland and surrounding areas a place that people will want to come and live and grow their families. So when they tell me to go to Barbados or go Guyana, I tell Rowley, you're going to be buying land here and we go give you none. Give you none. Today, I stand as a 75-year-old. As far as I'm concerned, I could lay down, rest my body, and dead in peace. But I can't do that because I have children and I have grandchildren. And I love my grandchildren. The only problem to the older people here, the only problem with grandchildren is you have to go through children first to get to the grandchildren. If we could have found a way to get away from the children and have grandchildren, the greatest life we could have. So today I stand with my colleagues, Dr. Rai Ragbir, I nearly say doctor, but I'm coming up just now. Anita Haynes, Pundit Dinesh Rambally, and my good friend Rushton Paray, and many others, including you, in standing up for what is right. Not because not because we're doing it for any fame, but because it is the right thing to do. And all of us, ladies and gentlemen, know that we cannot take 5 more years of Keith Christopher Rowley. So I told myself, when that day comes in 2025, and we once more end up searching for excuses for what our electoral defeat, because drunk or sober, jump high, jump low. If we continue on the road we're going, we are going to get licks from Keith Christopher Rowley in 2025. Now, I want to be in a position. We want to be in a position, all of us, to tell our party in 2025 that it ought not to have adopted a business as usual approach. To fight an enemy like the PNM, you cannot relax. You cannot go up with a deadbeat team. You have to reinvigorate it. You have to seek guidance, spiritual and otherwise, to face the juggernaut that is the PNM. So I asked the question in my party. My party needs a jolt of energy and a jolt of strength. It needs some fresh faces. We cannot go with the same old, and win and expect to win in 2025. We tried it in 2015, and what happened? We get licks. We tried it in 2020, we get licks. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, Pastor. You're going in 2025 to get more licks? Yeah, come on, man. Come on. God said, I give you brains and I give you eyes. Let those who see, see. And those who have ears, let them hear. It's written in the scripture. And we know that from his historical experience, if we continue on this road, we're going to be in opposition. So I asked the question, why are all the young, bright people not in the UNC? Where them? I set out, they're my friends and colleagues, so I wouldn't call names or anything like that. But we could present a better team to match the PNM manos in the parliament. And even better, I ask, where are the professionals, the young, bright people? I ask, in the last screening, why a man like Fazal Karim, he's dead now, a man of performance, a man of integrity, why was he rejected? And we have to ask that question. We have to ask the question, where is Vasant Bharat? Should he not be with us, fighting the good fight? We ask the question, where is Kevin Ramnarayan, the best energy man in the region, advising Guyana, but we're not good enough for the United National Congress? He should be there taking on Stuart Young in the battle to keep Petrotrin alive, to revive our energy sector. Where is Dr. Botiwari, principal of the University of the West Indies? Where is Prakash Ramada? Where is Michaela Pandey and other highly qualified and honest professionals? They should be in our party. And if our party cannot see talent and cannot bring it to the fore, then we have a problem. And if we have a problem, the people of Woodland must correct that. I ask the question, where are our island scholars? Where them? Every year we hear 100 people getting scholarship. Do you know that the only, as far as I know, national scholarship winner in the parliament is none other than my friend Anita Haynes. And you know what? Her life is short-lived in the present UNC because she's bright, because she's honest, she has integrity, she's a professional. And in my party, something is wrong with that. They don't like that. You must not be bright. She went to St. Joseph Convent. Now, she's a daughter to me. I'm 75 years old. She could be a granddaughter. But that is the kind of thing I would like to tell my grandchildren. Look at Anita and be like her. And I ask the question, what is wrong with that? And I talk to the people of Woodland and I say the time has come for you to show Trinidad and Tobago and to show the United National Congress that you mean business. So I tell them, if joining with my colleagues here is wrong, then I don't want to be right. I will stay. And I tell the people of Woodland, if joining with my friends makes all of us dissidents, then I'm a happy, proud dissident. Because they do that to demonize us. You mustn't ask a question. You mustn't call for an election. You have to sit down, and I've been in meetings, I'll tell you. And making wrongs to praise the leadership. And they make the wrongs, and I say the leadership is the best thing in the world. Make the wrongs again, I have to think up what to say. The leadership is nice. By it around the third time, I have to say the leadership is the goddess Lakshmi. Then the fourth time, I say I'm running out. My job is not to praise human beings. My job is to see about the Father's business in Trinidad and Tobago and the welfare of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And if for that I'm a dissident, I take it. Take it in my rutunku tunku. So I talk about Anita. No charge. You have any charges before the court? You sure you're fooling with? Her father is a police. So when we screen you, that will come up. Look out for that question. National scholar. The BBC came to Trinidad and Tobago and they say we want to talk to a young bright parliamentarian. This is the BBC in London, eh? They want to talk to a young bright, well, you know they passed me straight. You know who they went to? Anita Haynes. And I had to tell Anita Haynes, hide it. Don't let them see because they go bust your throat. You see the party, you had to hide your what the scripture says, you must let your light so shine that men may see your good works and glorify the Father in heaven. Not so. You had to hide it. You had to hide it. Dinesh is a man who's talking mind. A pundit. I admire him. I'm afraid of him. But he is a good man. He cannot see, you know, when you see a spade, you call a spade, he calling it a spade. And I tell him, boy, call it a broom now. It's a spade. Honest, straightforward Hindu. An exemplar of his faith. Somebody who young Hindus could look up to and say, dear, he is a man of whom I am exceedingly proud. That is the kind of man. But in the UNC, that don't matter. Integrity, incorruptibility, etc. Now, my friend Rushton Paray, I observed him for 8 years in Parliament. And I took the position all year. People say, well, why you come out now? I took the position that 8 years the young boy will grow. He will get slap up and tap up and all kind of thing. But the party will mentor him and ensure that in the fullness of time, he will be one of the many generation of young leaders. I was wrong. I was wrong. I knew instinctively that in the UNC, people like him will not thrive. He is too decent. He is too honest. He's a professional businessman. He doesn't have to get down on his knees and bow and beg for a seat because he employs 200 to 300 employees. So a seat for him is nothing. Now a seat for me is a different, it's a big thing. I the Honorable Rodney Charles. And the police saluted me and things. But for he, that is nothing. For him, that is nothing. And in my party, that person is a person to be scared of. Not a person to be encouraged and to mentor and to provide the leadership that could take us and make us a Singapore, Trinidad and Tobago. So ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to be with this team. And I'm pleased to be with Rushton Paray. And who don't like it could put it in the pipe and smoke it. As I said, these are the people with whom I choose to align myself and support. And if supporting them is wrong, then I don't want to be right. I, at this stage in life, do not care if I have no friends. You reach that stage in life where you know you are hated by many. You are loved by few, but you're respected by all. I speak my mind. So today I wish you have to forgive me. I need to clarify something. Do you remember the 2015 election and the spin the wheel nonsense? Yeah. Right, today I'm leveling with you and I'm speaking the truth after 8 years of keeping silent. And I do so because it is unfortunate that bloggers associated with the UNC, my party, who in their desire to support the status quo, the existing scheme of things, they are busy spreading PNM propaganda. I want you to know that we have people on our side who will lick us up in order to ensure that they remain in power. So let me inform you, and let me inform those so minded, that as campaign manager in 2000 election, together with the late, great Fazal Karim, who handled field operations, we were the only campaign team ever to win a general election for the UNC on its own. Let me repeat that. We won the 2000 election alone. No help from nobody. Fazal Karim, the same man they kick out. We did it. You heard about the PASU office in Montrose? Ably supported by a fellow called James Carville with the famous slogan, performance beats old talk anytime. That was the campaign. That campaign was unique in that Basdio Pandey left Fazal Karim James Carville, and myself to manage the campaign. Basdio Pandey never interfered. But when I was recruited in early 2014 to be the party's campaign manager, I endeavored to recommend to the leadership those from aboard who assisted in our 2000 general election victory. James Carville was ready to come, take a plane and come Trinidad and fight again. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I was overruled. And the campaign was later micromanaged by the then Prime Minister. In fact, no decision in the campaign was taken without her knowledge and her approval. Now, I am UNC, so I don't want to give too many details, right? Because we all understand. But I have to clear my name. Without giving up too many details, the campaign ended up with at least 5 foreign consultants from different countries. So you can imagine we all in a meeting, this team from Canada, that team from England, that team from United States, this other team from Barbados, another man come from wherever he come from, and they're quarreling among themselves, and we had to reconcile the differences. And that is not all. More were brought in. Every day you wake up, somebody come in, and you had to work with these people. And you know in Trinidad, if you're a foreign consultant, and you have a nice accent, and you're a little lighter than Rodney Charles, oh yes, we think that is a better idea, and we'll go in that direction. Rodney Charles is talking nonsense. You know, that kind of thing. We had to put up with that. It was pure hell as campaign manager navigating the many conflicts which arose among these, fighting among themselves. I'll tell you a secret, but don't tell her. Anita was on that campaign. She knows if I'm lying or not. So while expressing my concerns as a very loyal UNC member, I endeavored to make the best of a challenging situation. So now we go to the No Rowley campaign. Remember that? Yeah. That entire campaign was the brainchild of a Canadian consultant. And their emails, I have to prove it. One of which was sent to 30 persons. I have the proof. Data was provided which showed that it would work. No Rowley would work. In a campaign, one operates on trust with one's colleagues and information provided by professionals. I had to trust. They told me this would work. Give me all the data and statistics. And I said, okay, let's try it. That No Rowley campaign had the full support of the then Prime Minister. It was done with her imprimatur. As campaign manager, I was tasked with leading the campaign and making it work. Orders direct from the leadership. Later, I understand that a sitting MP was recruited. I won't call his name, but you don't know. He was the Minister of Trade at the time. And together, we tried our best to make the thing work. That MP, based on negative feedback, indicated some concern, and we agreed that given that he was going to fight St. Augustine's seat at the time, I had no seat at that time. I said I will stay on and I will fight to the bitter end. You keep cool, I will take the licks. Right? As a very loyal UNC member, and given the data provided to me, and despite my misgivings, I labored on. The political leader and all on the campaign were aware of the facts. I stood up for the party, refusing to divulge details. You can imagine I getting licks. And they're saying I lost the election for the UNC. When I know that it was foreigners who brought that campaign, and I have the proof. Anybody who want to challenge me, I have the data. I had to take that licks. But I'm a loyal UNC. I ain't saying nothing. But you don't think they could have defended me? And all of that licks and speak the truth? And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we need a new breed of honest politicians. Men who will say, yeah, if it is yeah, and nay, if it is nay, and you could walk away knowing he made a promise to me. That is the politics I talk of. Truth, integrity, and character. So I took the blows, even though those in the know were fully aware of the facts and remained silent. And as a loyal party member, I kept my peace for 8 years. despite all this, those associated with the party have now chosen to rehash P&M propaganda to attack me using surrogates. I am therefore forced. You know what they're going to say now? I'm bringing out UNC business in the public. But if I don't do that, I will end up as the national boboli. I have to think about my grandchildren. What do you think about your grandfather? He made the UNC lose the election. That hard to take, particularly when it is not true. So if challenged, I want to tell everybody, if challenged, I will release emails and other correspondence to back up what I'm saying today on this matter. So here we are. I am a loyal UNC. If they keep quiet, I keep quiet too. Because it's my party, and I don't want my party to look bad. But if you want to make me a boboli and expect me to keep quiet as I did for 8 years, them days done. Having said all that, I believe that the UNC is the only party to take us forward into the 21st century. And they could jump high, they could jump low. I will never, ever, ever cross the floor and go P&M. I am UNC till I dead. But for us to change Trinidad and Tobago, our party must address serious shortcomings in its leadership. It needs change. It needs new blood. I am prepared to play my part in making the UNC a great institution that Basleo Pandey envisaged. And the question I ask, are you prepared to make the UNC the best version of itself so that it could stand up to the P&M? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you this team, and I give you without hesitation my colleague, Mr. Rushton, Paray.
Thank you very much, MP Charles, a stalwart in the UNC. And most of all, ladies and gentlemen, Rodney Charles made it quite clear that all of us belongs to the UNC. A matter of fact, I myself am a lifetime member in the UNC. So when I hear this nonsense about the team and P&M infiltration and all the idiotic talk that I heard from Doctor and others, I paid no mind. But I understand the position, and we must stand tall as members of the UNC, and we must stand for what is right. We must get up and stand for what is right, because this party have the potential of forming government. But in order to form government, Woodland, you must be a part of the change that must come, that we would be able to build a stronger UNC, to build a better TNT, to get rid of the corrupt Rowley government. That is the reality. I have a daughter in the back there by the name of Chanel Roberts. Chanel, stand up in the back somewhere down there. Look, Chanel, stand up in the back down there. And the reason I asked Chanel to stand up, ladies and gentlemen, is that Chanel has an individual that she considered to be her mentor as a young lady. And let me tell you something. That mentor, ladies and gentlemen, is not my mother, which is Chanel's grandmother. That mentor is not Chanel's sister. That person that Chanel looked up to and always said, Daddy, I will always like to be like that individual. And that is the individual that I'm going to introduce to you right now. That is none other than the young Anita Haynes, one who this country children will want to be their mentor. You know, at one time I asked my son Omar, what do you think about Prime Minister Keith Rowley? You want to be like Rowley? He said, no, Daddy. I said, you want to be like Fitzgerald Haynes? No, Daddy. You want to be like Stuart Young? No, Daddy. I said, who you want to be like? He said, I want to be like Omar. He wants to be like himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome to the podium young, bright, brilliant, articulate Anita Haynes. I present her before you this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Good evening to the head table. Mr. Moodie, thank you very much for your invitation here tonight. Thank you to those of you, and this is an amazing crowd that turned out here tonight. And it says to me that the people in the community of Woodland and environs, they are serious people, very serious about improving your community. When I listened to Edward speak this evening, and he outlined what was required in the community, and we hear the cries. Yesterday I was in Tabakit with my field officer Maria. We went to visit some families, and people are crying out for basic needs in Trinidad and Tobago in 2024. The things that we are asking for, no citizen ought to be asking for in 2024. You are not supposed to be begging anybody to stop flooding when last week they were telling you we were in drought conditions. That is madness in this country. You are not supposed to be asking for basic needs like your safety and security. If a government cannot ensure your safety, they are quite respectfully not in charge of anything in this country then. If they cannot keep you safe, if they cannot solve the problem of infrastructure, the problem of the roadways, if a pothole is stumping you as a government, how can we expect you to fix any of the major problems facing society? If you can't fix a pothole, you can't fix crime. If you cannot fix a pothole, you cannot fix the economy. If you cannot fix a pothole, you cannot fix the education system. And these are the things that we know. We know these things to be true as a society. And we've known it for quite some time. And so, the issue facing us here today, those of us who are gathered here today, is what to do next. We cannot spend another 5 years talking about P&M incompetence. I refuse, as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, to spend another 5 years saying, how come they couldn't do this? How come they couldn't do that? How come they couldn't do the other? And so, you've heard it here from every speaker tonight. Everybody repeated a stronger UNC equals a stronger Trinidad and Tobago. And I'll explain what that means. In Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM is a default government. Whenever they feel like they have nobody else to turn to, they default turn to the PNM. They don't expect governance from the PNM. They don't expect performance from the PNM. They don't expect anything good from the PNM. That's why you're not seeing any mass protests. You find like people quiet. Because what the PNM is giving now is what people expect from the PNM. That is all they could give. And so if I, Anita Haynes, as a member, Anita Haynes Allen, I recently got married. Sometimes I don't always forget. So excuse me, I know we're recording. I don't want to get in no trouble, right? So if I cannot stand as a member of the United National Congress and speak to you as a member of the United National Congress and say we must do whatever we can to fix the United National Congress, then I am wasting your time. Then I will be wasting your time. When MP Rushton Paray stood up and said, let members have their say in an internal election, I wondered what my colleagues were writing about. What you could be vexed about. You standing there, the first set of letters came from people who were currently on the national executive. You faced an electorate, you were elected into that position, you got there. And now that it's time for another election to be called, you vex. And if the PNM did that, we'd be real vex. So that you who benefited from an election, saying general election coming, don't worry. No internal elections. So that when I went out onto the media the following week, it was to say, that is madness. Most of you would have, the first time you got to know me was as the Public Relations Officer of the United National Congress. I served as the PRO of the UNC from 2017 till 2020. I am invested in the brand that is the United National Congress. But not just invested in the brand, but in building the brand that is the United National Congress. We can only measure our success if by the end of our tenure, more people are paying attention, more people want to be a part of the UNC, more people are coming forward, we are not supposed to be preventing people from coming into the United National Congress. We are not supposed to say people who are saying they want improvement in the United National Congress is the PNM. It is illogical. The statement itself is illogical. And so, as a former public relations officer of the United National Congress, I could not watch misinformation about the process of what is to obtain in the United National Congress to take life. So, Rushton and Paray spoke in March, on the 21st of March. Rushton and Paray has a press conference, and he says, it is my hope that the elections will be called when they are constitutionally due. That evening, Friday evening, the political leader of the United National Congress said, elections will be called when they are constitutionally due. So to me, the talk was done. The elections was going to be called. After that, that entire weekend was 1 million press releases. I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar. So I say, but wait. I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar too. So what is this about? Why are you saying that if you support Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you don't support elections in the UNC? When Kamala Persad-Bissessar saying we will have elections in the UNC. So there was a deliberate attempt to confuse UNC members. So I took back my PRO hat and I put it on. I said, I will not allow UNC members to be confused. I will not allow it. And so what they were trying to make it is that persons who have to face an election, they were trying to hide behind the cover of that they do not have to account for their tenure, but they will hide behind, I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And so now that the election is June 15th, the election is on Saturday, June 15th. The political leader, the position of political leader is not up, right? So anybody coming to tell you they support Kamala Persad-Bissessar, they don't support Kamala Persad, it is irrelevant because it is not up. And so if they are coming to you now and they are going to say, I, X, would like to be chairman of the party, for example, what you have to ask them, especially if they were chairman of the party before, is what they have done for the UNC to improve the United National Congress. That is a question they must answer. If they are coming to you to tell you, don't study Paray bad, but they can't tell you why they're good for the party, they have to answer to you for their tenure. You have people right now. This week, people will be putting in their nomination papers. By the weekend, we will know who is running and what they're running for. And I urge you as UNC members, very serious people, very well-educated people, that you take this election very seriously. They will do everything all up and down the road on propaganda. But if they are serving in a position now, they have to tell you what they did for the years of service that they were there. Because if you were at DPL for 8 years, and in the last 4 years the UNC had 3 different homes, you have to answer for that. If you served in 4 different positions on 5 different national executives, so you went from DPL to vice chair to chairman to all kind of different things, you must tell the UNC what you did with each of those positions that you held. And if you cannot answer for that, then quite respectfully, you shouldn't be running again. Because if you did nothing in 8 years, the same way we'll tell you PNM, you did nothing in 9 years, you did nothing in 10 years, don't come in 2025. If you did nothing in 8 years, don't come back and ask for 2 more. Because you have not delivered to the people of the United National Congress. And so to me, as a member of the UNC, when I hear people calling for an improved political product, they are saying, let us make a stronger UNC. How you could turn around and say no to that? Are you telling me this is the strongest version of the United National Congress? Because we're in opposition now. So if this is the best we could do, then where are we going from here? So you must believe, there must be hope that the future is better than the present, because where we are now, we don't like it. And so when there's a group of people telling you that we can improve, we can do better, we can present to the general public in 2025 a better team, a stronger team, a team that can win, why would they tell you no? You have to ask yourself, the people who are opposed to this, what are you opposing? How are you part of an organization and willing to say, I will do nothing to improve that organization? How can you go to members and say, I am willing to do nothing more than what I have done for the past few years? Everybody must be accountable for the positions that they have held. If you have gotten due respect from the UNC members, they have given you an opportunity to serve, tell them how you have served. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you, this is a very important internal election, because this is the first stop on our road to 2025. June 15th will determine for us in the United National Congress what August to November 2025 could look like. June 15th will say to us that we in the UNC are serious about change in our country, and we will start by fixing our party, because the UNC is the best political vehicle to destroy the PLM. But we all here cannot sit down in the vehicle and hear things shaking and no bolts missing and just turning up the radio pretending. We cannot sit down in the vehicle of the UNC and see the engine light on and turn our head. We cannot sit down in the vehicle that is the UNC and know things going bad and pretend because we come into Mama Guy people. I will not stand for that, and I know nobody on this table will stand for that. And so we must take June 15th very seriously, because there is a belief in the UNC that internal elections don't really matter, because people don't really know what anybody does be doing. And we have to change that. So over the course of the next 3 weeks, the team headed by Rushton Paray will explain exactly what we will be doing differently. We will explain what the positions of the deputy political leaders are supposed to do, and that we will hold people accountable to do it. We will explain what the position of the chairman is supposed to do, and we will hold people accountable to do it. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we will work with you, but we need you to work with us as well. It is time for the UNC to go back to its membership. The UNC cannot be controlled by a small group of people. The UNC is not one person, it's not a handful of persons, it is 100,000 persons across Trinidad and Tobago. And so I urge you, let people respect your voice. Let them respect what you have to say. And the surest way to do that is to vote on June 15th, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Well articulated, well placed, well said. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, on June 15th, you have the choice. You have the choice to decide whether the UNC go forward or whether the UNC goes backward. And as Anita plead with you, come on June 15th and ensure that we prepare a team to get rid of the PNM, where this vehicle that we call the UNC would be able to take government to bring ease to the hardship that you have experienced for the past 9 years. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I want to call on my brother Neil. After the last speaker, we will have a question and answer segment, which you will have an opportunity to ask your question to me. And I will direct the question as I see it fit. But you will have 1.5 minutes to ask your question. So be prepared after the last speaker. So I call on my good friend, my brother, to introduce the last speaker here this afternoon.
Thank you very much indeed. Let us give Mr. Victor Roberts a round of applause. Victor has done a magnificent job here this evening as your master of ceremonies for this evening's program. Let me remind you of the words, a stronger UNC is a stronger TNT.
Yeah, man.
The person whom I'm about to introduce is a very devout husband of his beautiful wife, Nalisha, and a proud father of 3 daughters. A self-made man who has journeyed from humble beginnings is nothing short of inspiring everyone. With a keen entrepreneur spirit, unwavering dedication to hard work. He has transformed his family retail business, spanning from decades from retail, restaurant, information technology, telecommunications, and pharmaceuticals. As the Shadow Minister of Trade and Industry, your Member of Parliament for Mayaro is very passionate and advocates tirelessly championing the cause across Trinidad and Tobago to improve the quality of life of people. Under the current government mismanagement, many small, medium-sized businesses have struggled, but MP Paray has consistently fought the policies which would ensure the survival of prosperity. He's a firm believer that when the country's economy grows, all the citizens of this country will grow. Recognizing the need for greater democracy and the importance of returning membership into the arms of the leadership, he has challenged the status quo, as we are well aware, that has kept the party opposition and has kept us in opposition for nearly a decade. That is what we would want to change. His bold call for reform and shaking up of the UNC has resonated with thousands of supporters across Trinidad and Tobago, demanding change for a better Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present on the stage here this evening a man who leads the charge for a stronger UNC and a stronger TNT, the Honorable Member of Parliament for the constituency of Mayaro, MP Rushton Paray.
Thank you very much, Neil. And thank you very much, Victor, for marshalling a very wonderful program here this evening. So first of all, let me thank all of you for giving up your Sunday evening to join all of us here as we spread a message throughout Trinidad and Tobago that change is good and that change is coming. And whether you like it or not, as Rodney says, it's coming in your rococo tong tong. It is coming. To the organizer of this evening's program, Mr. Moodie, who I've known journalistically of reading about him in the media over the years, I'm kind of afraid the man. But I've been in conversation with him for quite some time. And where his passion lies for people, it speaks to the philosophy of the party which I belong to. A party philosophy that convinced me many years ago to leave the comforts that comes with your business and adopt and to pursue a higher calling. Now, every one of you has a calling. Some of us serve the country at the parliamentary level. Some serve it as police officers, as teachers. Some serve it as men and women
of the health sector, some service in the regional corporation. But every one of us as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago wants to serve the country. So I am grateful and thankful for every person, whether you are an activist, a councillor, an MP, a public officer, that when you wake up in the morning, you are interested to go out and serve our great country of Trinidad and Tobago. So what are we doing here? My colleagues, young Anita Haynes, Mr. Dinesh Rambally, our old senior and mentor, Mr. Rodney Charles, they acceded to the call that I made on March 21st, when I made the call for the party to which I belong to uphold the constitution of the party and to call the elections when it was due. And I called on my colleagues and I called on every one of them to stand with me to allow the membership of our great party to decide on a way forward. And I've used this numbering system: 24, 25, and 26. We are in 2024, and the decision that you, all the members of the United National Congress, your decision in 24 will determine the direction in 2025. And the answer that we want from you in 2025 is 26. Not a seat less than 26 seats when we win government from the People's National Movement. Now, that could be the mark for tomorrow, eh? So remember those three numbers. For those of you so inclined to take a game of chance. But before I get into some of the material that I jotted down to speak here tonight, I want to remind you that silence is a cancer that grows. And silence in anything destroys you from the inside. And sitting as an MP for the last 9 years, and by the time Parliament is dissolved in 2025, I would have given 10 years of public service in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. But my service didn't start in 2015. I've been serving the people all my life. I was indoctrinated into the Lions Club of Mayaro at the age of 19. And I've been doing the work as much councillors as they do through that organization up to today. So when they tell me, Paray, you know, come here, you know, about serving people, I remind them of that fact. And as a businessman in the community as well, prior to being in the Parliament, our family business was always very instrumental in how we grew our community. So I'm no stranger to service. I'm no stranger to work. I'm no stranger to be able to look after those who are around me. But I saw the opportunity to serve at a national level. And I offered myself. And I was screened by the party that I chose. The only party that I have ever belonged to is the United National Congress. I've never belonged to any other party. And when you find people who are peddling PNM propaganda and they make it theirs, it's really hypocrisy. Real hypocrisy. And they use it to undermine the constitution of our party. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Moodie started his conversation about flooding. And flooding is very important to me because I live in a constituency where 10, 15 years ago, Mafikin and parts of the Mayaro constituency would flood once every 3 years, 4 years. Today, 2 or 3 times a year, 5 or 6 areas of the constituency floods. And I have sat at joint select committee meetings and asked our public officers, what's the plan? And they gave me all kind of story. That the only thing left to do is to move these communities. I say move them and put them where? Because I believe, I am not a hydrology engineer, but my common sense tells me we're an island, we're surrounded by water, climate change is dumping more water at a higher velocity. There are a few things that we ought to do. So I've asked our public officers, have we made a change to the systems of drainage in this country in the last 40 or 50 years? Are we making bigger drains, wider drains? Nobody can respond to me on that. Are we looking to hold the water somewhere? Why aren't we looking at more detention ponds, retention ponds? Because the water have to go somewhere. And if we don't hold it, it ends up under your home. It ends up inside your car. And Mr. Moodie, he identified that he has been talking about very similar solutions over the last few years, and nobody is listening. Then why aren't we, as an opposition party on a Monday night, when we assemble these thousands of people, so I'm told, to talk about the solutions when we go in government? Most of our public meetings are devoid of action plans of how are we going to tackle the serious issues of this country. Because we are still in the belief that we're in 1970 and 1980 when you jump on a junction and you speak anything. And one drunk man come out, he cuss you, and then the policeman grab him and run. And then they clap and they move and they go home. Today, everything I say here can be fact-checked in minutes. So as political organizations, your line and length has to be different. Our audience are younger, brighter, more well-connected, and they have cable TV and internet. So they are seeing what the rest of the world is doing. They are hearing solutions. And then when you look at our newspaper, when you tune into our political forums, in the minds of these very same young people that Rodney spoke of, they are disappointed because we can't inspire them. We are no longer inspiring the next generation of Trinidadians and Tobagonians. But that is not irreparable. And that was the position I took when I made my bold call for the party of which I am a member first. And sometimes I feel that my colleagues forget that. That before being MPs and senators and councillors, we are members of the United National Congress, and we have a right to cast a vote. And when you stifle that ability to give the members of the party to decide the direction that the party must take, that is dictatorship. And I will not stand for that. And I am grateful for Dr. Rai, MP Rambally, MP Charles, MP Haynes, my friend Councillor Awong, Councillor Baliram, several others who we have support from to lead the change that we're asking for. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Keith Rowley came from India today. And he went on this mission and he said that he's going to meet Mr. Mukesh Ambani to talk about a cricket stadium, to build one, depriving the PAN movement of a promise that Mr. Pandey made to them to have a modern facility for the development of PAN in Trinidad and Tobago. 5 other regions in the world have developed the PAN industry. And the building that we started to put, it is in crumbling state. My question to Dr. Rowley, if you were going to meet Mr. Mukesh Ambani, who is the head of the Reliance Group, a $140 billion group out of India, I would have asked Mr. Ambani to come to Trinidad and Tobago and invest in our telecommunication sector, because they are good at that. I would have asked Mr. Ambani to help us improve our digital infrastructure so we can provide modern telecommunications and health, safety and security, because the Reliance Group is good at that. I would have asked Mr. Ambani to help us find new technology, invest in our North Coast deep sea exploration for oil and gas sector, because Mr. Ambani is good at that. That is what a visionary leader does when you spend taxpayers' money to fly halfway across the world, only to find out the man didn't have no invitation. The Indian embassy in New Delhi was scrambling to beg people, hey, look at see this man, boy, my prime minister. He went to India with no plan. No plan, none at all. Because Mr. Ambani didn't see him. He saw some fellas in the lower end of the totem pole. But that is the issue. We have poor leadership of the PNM. And we have to change that. But the change has to start in our own home. If we don't strengthen our own home as the only political vehicle that can take us to government, we will end up in opposition in 2025. And I am not prepared for that. If we don't strengthen the organs of our party, strengthen the systems and processes in our party, we will not see government. And if we allow Dr. Keith Rowley and the PNM to win an election in 2025, it will be the first time in 40 years that the PNM has won 3 consecutive elections. And when he does that, when the PNM takes control, we in the opposition may not see government for another 20, 30 years. Because Dr. Rowley has indicated his intention to remove service commissions. These service commissions were put in there by Dr. Kapil Dev back in the 1960s in Marlborough House to ensure that there is fairness and equity in the public service. Our former Attorney General has created a concept of necessity in the Parliament, where they take legislation that requires 3/5 majority, and there's a reason we put that. There is no other Caribbean island, as far as I'm aware, not even Guyana, that has a 3/5 majority requirement for certain legislation to pass. Because they understood the society in Trinidad and Tobago was not very trusting. So the framers of the Constitution says, look, you want to interfere with the fundamental rights of the citizen? Opposition and government had to sit down and get together, because they are representing the 2/2 of the population, that must happen before you pass certain legislation. But we have allowed this concept of necessity, that if something is necessary, there may be an opportunity to bypass the 3/5 majority requirement. Now you put all of that together, and we allow Dr. Rowley and the PNM to take government in 2025, we are in trouble. And the movement that we're on for change in the UNC is not about only moving the PNM, you know. And I wanted to listen carefully. We started the message here this evening that a stronger UNC is a stronger Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to tell you why that is important. We have to ensure, and Anita said it, the best political vehicle for Trinidad and Tobago is the United National Congress. But if the vehicle have some bolts missing, bearing making noise, you're hearing plop, 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 plop. But instead of stopping the vehicle, fixing it, we turn the volume up. So when you turn the volume up, nobody hears anything. And we go on like business as usual. We have to take government in 2025 to take Trinidad and Tobago way down into the 21st century. We have to ensure that we are positioned to address the issues of this country that will create a country that you want, your children want, your grandchildren want for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Ladies and gentlemen, on June 15th, and mark my word, June 15th will go down as the day we create and we set a new direction for Trinidad and Tobago. June 15th is important because what happens on that day will determine a number of things. June 15th will determine how we manage our public sector debt of $150 billion. June 15th will determine how we use legislation to control spending in the future. It will determine how we manage our finances to the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And we determine that in a UNC polling station on the 15th. On the 15th of June, we will determine how the crime situation will develop in this country into a worse state that it is already in. Because if you don't make the change in the UNC on the 15th, you see the team that the PNM have, they will continue running the shop. And I can tell you, if a team, the best team of the UNC, does not go in 2025, swift justice will not be seen. We have to be able to pull in the best minds in this country to figure out how do we fix the operational problems of the TTPS? How do we fix the operational problems of the forensics? How do we fix the operational issues in the remand yard systems, in the prison, in the judiciary? Because unless we address those things, the magistrate in Rio Claro will have to call me again and say, MP, we have no toilet paper. Could send a bill for me. That is the reality. So when Faris comes and he talks about all the progress in the judiciary and the digitalization, and you can't put toilet paper in the magistrate court, what foolishness is that? The UNC will fix that. But it will be fixed when you start the change on June 15th. June 15th will determine how our health sector develops. We have to be able to look after our people with more care, more consideration. You know, there's an old saying in this country, I don't know if it's old, but they still say it. If you don't go in to casualty as a casualty, you will come out one. Because how the system doesn't care about the person. Those things are fixable, my friends. You will determine on June 15th how we address that. Because the UNC has the capacity and the capability to do it. But here what has happened to our party. Our party, over the years, has lost its gravitational pull. We are no longer attracting the best minds in this country. People are afraid to come around us. Because for some reason, there is an apparent stain that if you feel you associate with the UNC, then you are diminished in your own portfolio. Well, we want to change that. We want to create a UNC where it is bright, where it is attractive, and every single young person would want to get involved. That is the future of the UNC. I've had some young people tell me that they are fed up with politics and they're fed up with politicians and they don't see the need. They don't see the need for the parliament and they don't see the need for the presidency and those kind of things. So I had two responses for them. I said, if you were to take out civilian authority, because what we are in the parliament and the presidency is civilian authority, the men with the guns report to us. And if you don't want that, we'll end up like those African nations like Burkina Faso and them, where every Monday morning the man with the biggest gun in charge. Is that what you want in this country? I don't think so. So civilian authority is what your parliament is. So there is a use and a program in place to ensure civilian authority. And the civilian authority gives the army instructions as the presidency. So I told the young folks who were engaging me in that conversation, why don't you get involved in the politics? We want nothing to do with that. Well, I tell them, politics, and Henry will tell you this, politics moves the rubbish from your kitchen. Politics cleans your sewers. Politics cleans your drains. And if, as young people in this country, you are not motivated to participate in that, we will allow our young people to remain at the side of the road as rabble-rousers. I don't want a nation of rabble-rousers. I want a nation of people who want to participate in national development. And when I made my call on Friday, the 21st of March, I said that I believe the membership in the United National Congress has the capability and the capacity to take us forward. And I made a call to every single person in the membership of our party who is willing to work and who is willing to work hard to join us. Join us as we prepare for a new version of the UNC. A version that is not controlled and coerced by a handful of a few who've done nothing for the party in its development in 8 years. And as Anita said, when they come to you, ask them politely, tell me what you've done. I asked the treasurer of our party, they say, "Partner, how much money we have in the party?" I don't know. All right? What does it cost for us to rent the party headquarters? I don't know. I said, "But wait, as you know." He said, "Well, I don't know why I know, because they don't tell me nothing." Every arm of the party has collapsed. And the problem that we're going to face is if we don't have a strong organization called United National Congress, what are we going to land government on? Because your government sits on a strong party to stay in government. We want to be in government for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And the party organs is what allows for that. So today at a function, man told me, he said, "Well, Paray, nobody listens. Nobody listens. You as MPs, you know, all you come and all you talk and nothing happens for us." And these are members of the party. And I say, "Partner, That is what I've been championing for the last 1 year. Crazy dog didn't bite me to make that statement, by the way. I have been meeting constituency executive members of the party for months. And I have tried to raise these matters with the hierarchy in our party, from the political leader to the chairman to the general secretary, and nobody wanted to listen. Nobody. So what do? Do I wait till I'm out in 2025 and then start to talk? And they will say, well, Paray, when you was inside there for 10 years, why you sit down and stay quiet? Well, we're not staying quiet, because silence is a killer. And the party to which we all belong to must be given a fair shake and a fair chance of government in 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, there is this issue of loyalty. And I want to address that from a political perspective. I want disciplined people around me. There's no doubt about it. Discipline is important in political organizations. So some may say that Rushton, what you and Anita and Rai and Rodney and Dinesh is doing is mashing up the party. I say, well, I don't know if anybody calling for to make something better and stronger, how that is mashing up anything. One man said, Paray, all must do nothing, we go win. And in my logical mind, I'm saying, okay, if we do nothing, we go win. If we do something, we go lost. That don't make sense. And that is the reality of the matter. We presented something in 2015 after one of the most high-performance government under Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. We must give her credit for that. But yet, when we presented in 2015, boom, out. Why did the country reject us? 5 years, never had an analysis, any kind of autopsy to find out why they kick us out. But we know why. But nobody wants to say it. We come back in 2020 after the worst PNM in the history of this country. They mash up Petrotrin. They put 100,000 people out of jobs, all with the combination of COVID. Lick up 6,000 small businesses. And you know what? We presented in 2020 and they kick us out again. The worst performing PNM in the history of this country beat we. And again, this is the 4th year of the 12th Parliament, and nobody has done an analysis. Why did we lose in 2020? But I know, we all know. In maths, there's something called common denominators. You look at what is the common denominators in 2015, 2020, and we are 1 year before a general election, and we do nothing. Look at the common denominators, and when they come before you, those very common denominators, I'm not yet to call nobody name, right? Because although Kyle and Dinesh is good lawyers, I know what to do. But you find the common denominators from 15, 20, and what will be presented to you in 25 or 24, the 15th, you ask yourself, would those people take us to government in 2025? No. And I want to tell you, they will not. No, they will not take you. I see a comment from a PNM operative on a WhatsApp, share all over the place. Very prominent PNM person. I know what it write? It say, if all you allow Paray to take the leadership of the UNC, it is curtains down for the PNM. Even the PNM knows that. Even the PNM knows that. And I never asked for 1 minute for anybody to step down. May I ask for nobody to hand over anybody anything, like if it's a cow to hand over. All I said, that the national executive does not work for the leader. The national executive must work for the members. The national executive must work for the membership of the party. And how do you do that? How do you determine what happens? It's by the vote. Ramesh Maharaj and Mr. Pandey weren't fools. When they constructed the constitution for the UNC, it was grounded on good philosophy. Look after the socially oppressed, the poor, the poorest of the poor. Look after rural development. Look after the country in a way that you will set an objective for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. What have we done? In 35 years, we have a home. A good friend of mine, he's somewhere in the crowd. He decided he would help me with a little bit of finance in 2020 for my campaign. Elections are reasonably expensive. He said, Rushton, I'm giving you this with all my love. I love you like my brother. But he said, you're going to lose the elections. I said, well, why? You know what this man tell me? He said, all your move from Arangwe Savannah in 1987 to the top of a Chinese shop in 2020. How are you going to win an elections when you couldn't find a home? It tells you about the quality of your leadership. And your leadership of your party determines the leadership of your government. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What we display in the party, from the upholding of the Constitution to having the elections, that determines how we will run government. I am telling you, the day after we win this election on June the 15th, the first thing we're going to do is appoint a committee to find a way for us to build a headquarters. And I want to tell you, it ain't bound to be big like the PNM one, because I know where to get our money. But we will build something that will convert our political party to a national institution. We have to create a national institution called the United National Congress, where our building, our party headquarters, would be the archives of the history of the party, the archives of the men and women who would have slaved, the men who we stand on the shoulders of Mr. Pandey, Kapildeo, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. They all contributed to the development of the party today, but we have some shortcomings, and we have to address that. And our party headquarters is something that we must deal with. The second thing we ought to do, look at the madness going on with this elections commission, which Dinesh spoke about, and we're going to be dealing with that during the week. For you to know whether your name on the list to vote, you had to wait till they print it out and put it in the party headquarters, and you had to leave. I had to leave Mayaro to come to Shagonas to see if my name on the list. It had 3,400 registered members in Mayaro. But for them to know if the name on the list to vote, them have to come Shagonas. That is foolishness. And if when you reach there, your name not there, you have to fill out a form and say why and how. Those things should be digitized, available to every member of this party. We will digitize our party systems, our membership, our administration, as we bring you, the members, closer to the leadership of the party, where you can address your MPs, address the political leader. I mean, when you see how disconnected sometimes I feel our leadership are from the membership, very disconnected. When you have members of the party telling me, MP, I am fed up being loaded into maxis Monday after Monday after Monday. And you load me up in a maxi and go to a meeting. The meeting had 250 people. The next day, the leaders of the party bawling, thousands and thousands of people coming to support. And it's the same 200 and 300 people coming to the meeting. We are not growing the party to win an election. Because when we start to drink our own Kool-Aid, we're lying to ourselves. And we must stop lying to ourselves. And I see it every day. We talk sometimes nonsense I hear. And somebody write up, excellent, very good. Why are we lying to ourselves? Because in business, I'm a businessman. I want my people to tell me the truth. Because when you tell me the truth, I will act on the truth. When you tell your boss everything good enough, we looking good, oil pumping, and next thing nothing is happening, we will make decisions based on a lie. And in politics, there's some gray areas, right? Mr. Pandey said politics has a morality of its own. But anytime we want to determine what we say, we must measure the cost of the lie versus the cost of the truth. And I will tell you, the cost of the truth, as hard and as harsh as it may be, it will always be cheaper than the cost of the lie. And we have to find a way in the UNC to be honest and open with not only our membership, but we must display to the wider country that this is the type of governance that we will take. And when we decide that we will digitize the party, we send a message, we will digitize government. When we say in the party we'll cut off red tape and bring the people closer to the leadership, we will do that in government. We will bring the citizens of this country closer to the leadership, so there is no big space. And that is what is happening. The Keith Rowley administration is totally disconnected from the people. When a minister could tell you, listen, don't eat macaroni pie this week to cut your bill. Don't go movie once or twice. Go once for the month. When they have to dictate to you how to live, it means that they have failed in their responsibility to create a space for you to survive and to live and to grow and to prosper. If in the United National Congress we cannot tell the young people in this audience, we will develop a policy that will create an environment for you to prosper, for you to get a decent job with a decent pay, that you could buy a home, raise a family, and retire in comfort like Rodney, hopefully, that Rodney to retire in comfort. Then what are we doing? What is it that we are telling the young people in our country? I hear nobody talk about that yet. Nobody speaks, not in the government and not in the party that I belong to, talk about the headwinds that are coming to Trinidad and Tobago. Global headwinds are coming. We have issues of climate change, rising sea level. We haven't spoken about the deal. How are we going to deal with the cannabis industry? We say nothing on those things. We are not talking about development using ICT, digital infrastructure. How do we create a system where we bring what you call digitization to the municipality? Or we bring it to the curb? How do we use these things to drive public sector service, improve it? How do we save 2,000 jobs in Wassa? Probably let we sell water in bottle, because Hadi them making the money. So why Wassa can't do that? Simple little things that we ought to be talking about, we're not. And I'm saying, on June 15th, when you make that decision to put a new team in place, we will get a different language and idea and ideology. And as I mentioned those two words, I want to bring back it to loyalty. I want you to be loyal to your party. I want you to be loyal to your MPs. I want you to be loyal to your political leader, whoever that person is going to be. But I want you to be loyal to ideas and ideals. We are a country where we worship personalities. We must stop that. We must become a government under governance by ideas and ideals. Not what Kamala say or what Rowley say. Have a nation that is fueled by ideas and ideals. And if we do that, we will be able to take Trinidad and Tobago way into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I want to just leave you with two last items. My daughter said to me, while we cannot change the direction of the wind, we can adjust the sails. And I am telling you today, and I'm asking each one of you, when you go back to your homes tonight, and you take up the phone tomorrow, and tonight you agree with what this head table and myself have said, I want you to become evangelical in the message that change has to happen on June 15th. Because when we take the national executive on June 15th, we will adjust the sails. And when we adjust the sails, we will ride out the storms that are coming. Because you're going to find the best suited team, the most competent team, and we're about 1 week away from nomination day. I will lead a team that you will be proud of. It will be diverse. It will be mixed. It will reflect what Trinidad and Tobago looks like. It is going to have institutional knowledge. It is going to have people with young, bright ideas. It is going to have a fair mix of women. It's going to have an equal mix of ethnicity. And we will lead them together. A reporter asked me, Paray, why do you want to lead the UNC? I said, well, first of all, it's not a job that you apply for with a resume. Whenever there is a vacancy, if I choose, I will put my hat in the ring and I will come to the membership, and just like I'm standing here tonight, I will tell you why you should vote for me. And it will be up to the membership to decide who leads. It's not me. And if you agree with what I say, well, then you go vote for me. But I say that on my track record. I have a track record of building successful businesses. I have a track record of managing high performance teams. I have a track record in the constituency of Mayaro as an opposition MP of delivering to every single sector. And I don't tell them I'm in opposition, I can't do nothing. I will do my best. I will reach out to who I can reach out to. And when you do the work in a respectful, professional way, as Anita does it, as I do it, as Dinesh do it, as Dr. Rai do it, as Rodney do it, you get things done. And on top of that, as a community man, I've been a loving husband for 33 years to this young lady in front here. And when you see how she looking young, so I did not run away with she when she was 12. Right? And I'm a father of 3 young professional women, one who's sitting outside there. And if that is not what qualifies you for national service at the highest level, well, I don't know what is. And with all the work that we've done, and all the work that we will do until June the 15th, if it is in God's will, because we invoke the Lord at every meeting, and every team says the Lord is on your side. And if it is in God's will for us to lead the change for the future of Trinidad and Tobago, so it will be done. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much indeed, MP Rushton Paray. Let's give MP Rushton Paray a round of applause. Man who possesses true entrepreneurial skills. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we were very happy to be in Woodland, St. Francis and surrounding areas, and the people whom have journeyed to this meeting this evening, you have demonstrated to us that there is a genuine interest in change for the development of a better Trinidad and Tobago. Give yourselves a round of applause. As we engage your questions, as we engage members of the audience to ask your questions or make your comments, I will now again invite my brother, Mr. Victor Roberts, who would lead the charge on this. But before I do so, it is important that we give our sincerest thanks, gratitude, and appreciation to all of you for coming here today. The host, my good friend, Mr. Edward Moodie, as well, for organizing this meeting this evening with his team. Mr. Moodie, thank you. Let us also thank the veteran, Mr. Rodney Charles, for gracing us with his presence and his leadership here today. The young and dynamic Miss Anita Haynes Allen, and I don't forget. The very strong-minded Mr. Dinesh Rambally, MP for Chaguanas West. And of course, as the sun shines in the east, as it rises in the east, so too, as that wind will travel across the country from Mayaro, MP Rushton Paray will take victory on June the 15th. Ladies and gentlemen, I now give to you Mr. Roberts, who have been doing an excellent job this evening. Give Victor a round of applause.
Okay, thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, the rules is simple. You will have 1 minute and a half to ask your question. We are also recording your question, and if for some reason the answer is not available to you tonight, I am guaranteeing you that you will have a written response to your question. So we open the floor, state your name, ask your question. Let's go.
Hi, good night. My name is Dr. Riyad Hussain. I'm employed at the Southwest Regional Health Authority. So good night, everyone, and good night to all the members who came out today on a Sunday evening. So I agree with most of the points raised by the panel, especially the one that the UNC is unable to attract new members, especially young professionals like myself, to politics. Everyone hates it. My question is, why it is excluding you four that the level of debate in the parliament from the opposition benches is very, very poor. There's a lack of research, and now the opposition is seen as a joke to the ruling government whenever certain persons from the opposition benches debate. I and other professionals looked at the parliament channels and very, very poor. You can't even get a primary school student to listen to the kind of nonsense or no educated response. And especially as the opposition, you know, will have the government at the ropes. You will have to be on the move. So if you are chosen, I would like to see candidates and parliamentarians who can serve us effectively in the legislature and not embroiled in scandal and bacchanal. The UNC party has now turned into a party of sycophants and yes people under the present regime. Thank you.
Okay, I will direct that one straight to MP Anita Haynes.
Thank you for your question and your very honest commentary. It's nothing that I haven't heard before, and it's certainly not something that I would disagree with. What you're asking for starts with our screening process. It means that, and this is why I urge persons to take the national executive election very seriously, because the team that is selected on June 15th will determine the team that goes forward in 2025. And so what you have to be looking for as a parliamentary representative, and I've always said this, anybody who, all my colleagues here and colleagues not here will let you know, that politics is about persuasion and it is about communication. And therefore you must be able to get your point across. You must be able to articulate your point in a manner that it persuades somebody to come to your side. And to be able to do that, you ought to be in a position where you have to persuade a screening committee to select you. That is not what we have currently going on, and that is, so you reap what you sow. But it is important for us on this team, and in many of the meetings, when we talk about bringing the members in and making the party more attractive, it is our hope that we get more people involved. It has been my platform since I entered public life in 2017 to get more people interested, involved, active in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, active in UNC politics. So for us, for our team, should we form the national executive, we will ensure a robust screening committee. We will ensure that persons who will be coming to serve you, they are able to serve you as a representative in your community, as a representative in your parliament, as a political communicator. Those things are the only way you get people interested in politics again, interested in public policy, interested in the development of Trinidad and Tobago. And again, that is what we based our motto on, that a stronger UNC, including a stronger UNC in Parliament, will create a stronger Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you very much, Anita Haynes. And I note quite carefully, she said to you, what we do not have. But I will share with you what we have. What we have as we speak, and why the June 15 is of most importance, is that we have a screening committee that screens themselves. They screen their own self. A matter of fact, they walk out the room when it's my turn. They just step out the door like the PNM do in cabinet. They step out. The rest of the members vote for them. They come back in. They are the candidate. And that is what Anita Haynes and Rushton, Paray and the team will change. We will have a screening committee in place that is fair, that will deal with screening as it's supposed to be. So we welcome the next question. Anybody else?
Good night, Mr. Chairman. A pleasant good night to all the members who attended this meeting tonight. I am Suku Sanilal. I am from the village of Pluck Road here. This is Pluck Road. This is not Woodland really. This is Pluck Road. And you all know the number one problem in the country is crime, right? I did not hear you all expand on that situation. So I want Mr. Paray to say exactly what is his plans if he do get in the executive to deal with crime in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that's a very critical issue, and I think that is the gist of wanting to have the change at the national executive level. So I have some personal views on why we can't seem to get a grapple on crime. Now, crime is a multifaceted issue. It starts from the home in terms of how are we growing our young people, our young children? How are we dealing in the community of how we grow our kids? There is an issue of joblessness. Now, I'm not making excuses for people who are committing petty crimes, thieving mangoes and zaboka and so on. But the failure of this government to create an environment where you can provide a job. When we make a country easier for a young man to find a gun but not find a job, we're asking for trouble. And this is what the PNM has done. Every policy that they have made has put more pressure on the poor elements, the poor persons in our country. As a matter of fact, we now have a section of persons in this country called the working poor. A family of two persons who are working, they can't save $1 because by the time they buy food, pay the mortgage, pay for children to go to school, there is no money to save. And in an economy, for those of you who are economists here, we understand the concept of savings equal wealth. And when there's no saving, you can't build wealth. When we have to find jobs for people, we have to be able to make Trinidad and Tobago more attractive. So it is not about building more prisons. It is not about finding more powerful guns for the police. And it is definitely about finding opportunities for citizens to earn a living. Because I tell you, there are people who come to my office every day and they want a chance to work. They want a chance to work, and if we give them a chance to work, they can put food on the table for their family. And if we have to deal with crime in this country at the very highest level, we must deal with swift justice. We have police officers 500 or 600 of them before the courts today, getting full pay and half pay. And when they come before the magistrate court, they're in handcuffs, but their juniors have to salute them. Because we cannot remove them. Because every man is innocent until proven guilty. Why it is it takes 10 years. Why it is we have to have our young men and women in remand yard for 10 and 15 years waiting on a case to call. Why it is the DPP is allowing cases to go to court and the evidence is not ready. It takes 3 years for ballistics, 5 years for DNA. The policeman retire and gone. And these cases remain. And when a young man goes in remand yard, he ain't going in as a criminal, but he's coming out as one. Because it's like a university inside there. So to address the issues of crime, we have to address the issue of swift justice. Gun crimes must have a gun court that sits every night. And we determine cases in 90 days when a police officer knows if he accepts a bribe, in 90 days he can be in jail. And if the public has to have trust in the police, you must have trust that swift justice is meted out to the ones who have sworn to uphold the law. And if you in your mind feel that the police gets away, well, the criminal feel the same thing too. Policing, having presence, all of these things are important. The technology is important. But we must be able to take people through the court system, give them due justice. I'm not talking about vigilante justice. We must allow them to go through the justice system fast and go to jail quickly. Get restorative justice in the prison system and come back as productive members of the society. That is the system. In 2016, in my second term, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance came to Parliament and said there is a $80 million investment in a new forensics lab, that the Chinese government was going to build a new forensics lab. We're in 2024, and the only thing they do, they build a platform and put on a 40-foot container with air conditioning in it. But yet we want to know why cases are staying 15 years in court. So my friend, we get into the national executive. We will take government in 2025 and we will bring the best minds to deal with the judiciary, the justice system, the police service, deal with the operators, and we will bring crime under control. Because swift justice will deal with that. So that's how my plan, my intention, my vision of dealing with it from all different levels, from the home straight up to the operators of the judiciary or the judicial system. Thank you.
Well said, MP. Next question quickly. Anybody?
Good evening, everyone. Members of the head table. Moodie, I just want to say something to you. A minute and a half is not sufficient. This should not be a question and answer forum. This should be an open forum, right? If I have some comments to make, you all should listen to what I have to say and take my comments. Dinesh, I want to correct you on something you said earlier, right? The PNM is not the enemy at this point in time. The enemy you all are fighting is the enemy on the 15th of June. And unless we can't get rid of them, we are going nowhere. We are doomed in opposition for the next 6 years. Do you all agree or not? If we cannot do anything about that, I'm sorry, but we are doomed for opposition maybe more than 6 years.
Tell us why they are the enemy on the 15th of June.
Because if UNC is a team of a battery of lawyers, let me tell you why. If the Constitution was adjusted, and Paray always said constitutional reform, until he died, he said that, right? You all are a battery of lawyers in UNC. You all have enough lawyers there to change the Constitution. But nothing was done to change the Constitution. No parliamentarian should be given more than 2 terms in office. None. Absolutely none. If that was done, there was no need for this meeting here tonight. If that was done. Tell me if I'm not making sense or not. Okay? And these are the issues that needs to be addressed. We are not stupid people now. This village has produced 2 of the most brilliant professors in Canada, right? One is deceased and one is still alive. And the one who I'm talking about, he is the brother of this gentleman who has given us this venue tonight, Roland Binder's brother. He's KP Binder, okay? And for too long, we have been accepting people from outside to come and be our representatives when we have more than competent people to represent us here in Oropouche. We had a young lady who come here. She know she right hand from she left hand. But we had to accept that. We had to accept that. In Oropouche. That is not going to happen anymore. Because we're going to stand up for what's right. We're going to stand up for what's right. Moodie, you can hear me out on this with the flooding. You know my situation, eh? I have lost my house because of flooding. Right? But all I could say is that nobody cares. Because whenever the media comes, my picture is always on the front page. And everybody know that. Everybody know that. In whole of Penal, they're all over. But, you know, sad to say that, you know, nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. But, you know, but things have to change. We have to change. And that change has to start from within. That change has to start from within, okay? I don't want to take up too much time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I want to address the issue of constitutional reform. So I spoke about the first committee to deal with party headquarters. The second thing that really caused the problem, when I wrote the political leader, and I told her, I wrote a 9-page document on her request, and what are the challenges that the membership were facing, and there was a lot. And I had a section on party reform, and I told her that it is about time that we set fixed date for elections in the party. Nobody should have to pull out a date from our back pocket. We should set in the party fixed date for every election. For party organization election, constituency election, political leader election, NATEX election, we should have set dates. We should also have fixed terms for office holders. Every office holder should be set in fixed terms, even that of the political leader. No political leader should turn into a dictator staying in any office for 30 years. We have to stop that. You know why? Because the rate at which the world is changing. You want new people with new ideas, a new vision, a new way you see the world. And when your leaders hold on to office, when they think that these offices are lifetime offices, we have a problem. But you know what is the real problem in the UNC? We have served that team an eviction notice, and they don't want it. And that is why they're going to come with all the foolishness and nastiness which you have to be prepared for. And in closing with that comment, when we have accomplished constitutional reform in the party and we take government in 2025 with 26 seats or more, we will deal with constitutional reform in this country.